Have you ever had that feeling that you don't sort of fit in at church? Like everyone around you, they're the real Christians, but you sort of feel as though you're a imposter. You see that Sunday school teacher, you see the organist, the ushers, the band members, and you think, I'm just not as religious as they are. They're the real Christians. I'm just faking it. Maybe you have this voice inside you that tells you that they know more about things than you do, more about the Bible, more about Jesus, more about church stuff than you do. Well, here's the truth, folks. We all have that voice. Every one of us does from time to time, even me. My wife and I, we thought we had a great marriage until we started reading books about marriage and listening to speakers at conferences whose job it is to tell people how to have a great marriage. I mean, I would say honestly, Katie and I, our marriage, it is far from perfect, but it's really, really good. We'd both say that we're connected deeply and we're vulnerable with one another. We definitely have an unwavering, unquestioned love for one another. We've always believed we had a strong marriage, again, until we started reading books and going to conferences, and they told us that we were doing it all wrong. We don't eat enough meals together. We have the TV on too much. We don't have enough date nights. We don't pray enough together. Our sex life isn't steamy enough. The message from all the books and speakers, these folks who are supposed to be experts on marriage, the message is clear. The fact that we had a strong marriage, it didn't matter. How we did marriage was what mattered most. And we are apparently doing it all wrong. According to them, the way you did marriage was the measure of your marriage, and we don't measure up. Well, folks, we're in session 1 of a 5-part session we're calling Faith for the Rest of Us. Because for way too many of us, this is how it is when it comes to faith. We're led to believe that there's a one-size-fits-all path to faith. There's a caricature out there of what a good Christian is supposed to look like. I mean, just like all those marriage books and speakers try and tell us what our marriage is supposed to look like, we have this idea that there's a one-size-fits-all mold for Christianity. For example, when I went to school to become a pastor, I quickly realized I didn't fit the mold. I realized there was a certain personality type most pastors fell into. They were reflective type people. They loved to have their heads in books. They had high IQs. They had impressive vocabularies. They had lots of self-discipline. And if I'm honest, they were kind of socially awkward and boring. Well, when it comes to faith, this isn't just a pastor thing. This is a Christian thing. We think real Christians look like what? We have this picture of a perfect family. They sing in the church choir. They get on their knees every night before bed and they pray, and they don't even fall asleep before they finish their prayers. They read the entire Bible regularly, unlike you and me who maybe have tried and we have a hard time getting through Genesis. Real Christians don't have to fight with their husbands or kids to get them to go to church. Real Christians don't go to bars, nor do they drive fast cars. Folks, hear me. Faith isn't found in a one-size-fits-all approach. Look at the people who hung out with Jesus. Crooked tax collectors, that questionable woman at the well, crusty, foul-mouthed fishermen. You see, like marriage, when it comes to faith, it's the end result that matters, not how you do it. If there's something that produces a great walk with God for you, awesome. If not, it's probably a waste of your time, even if lots of other folks highly recommend whatever the practice is. Fact is, what works for one can be worthless for another. Every one of us is wired, you know this, differently, and that difference matters. When we let others project their stuff onto us, what they think we should do and be as good Christians, we only end up with a nervous twitch and a bunch of guilt that God never wanted for you or me. Friends, the truth is this. Most people I come across most days are people like you and me. People I see as some of the most godly people, but they're made to feel ungodly. They're people who feel like spiritual failures, not because they were far from God, but because they're not living up to the measurements of spirituality we've come to believe determine the quality of our faith. People for whom prayer is not only unfulfilling, but nearly torturous. People who would rather die than sit around and talk about their feelings. People who would give you the shirt off their back, but they don't have the patience for traditional worship. They're people who, for whatever reason, don't think they fit the mold. Now, here's a bit of irony. In Matthew chapter 19, Jesus says this. He says, "Let the children come to me. Don't stop them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who are like these children." Now, listen, if Jesus was insistent that there was a specific mold that he wanted his followers to fit into, why would he point to children? I mean, come on, children are a mess. They spill, they leave half their lunch on their clothes, they pick their noses, they fight back when they have to take a bath, they fight with their siblings, they mess their pants, people. This is the model of faith Jesus gives us. Jesus says, even these kids have a great relationship with God. So here are my questions for you today. What have you been led to believe that a good Christian looks like? And because of that, have you felt excluded from faith, church, or spirituality?